introduce this next session's whole panel, if they want to come out while I introduce our moderator, Mike Fibus, who is president and principal analyst for Fibus Tech, as well as a regular tech columnist for both USA Today and CIO Magazine. Let's welcome this next fireside chat to the stage. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So when I first heard of this announcement, actually, I was, when you think about all the synergy there is between wearables and consumer devices and mobile purse, it seems like this should have been done a long time ago. And yet they've been going on parallel tracks until now.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we had to wait for somebody like Samsung to get good enough at the technology to build something so small but still have a full-blown cell phone embedded in it that we can do a standalone safety app. And now we've reached that point.
Yeah, the other thing is that we realized that it's not just simply about creating functionality to contact someone. It's about the user experience and understanding what makes it easier to access and how do you do that. It's about if a person were to receive the call, do they have to then go through that next step, and then can you automate that process? And so there was a lot of work on our end thinking about through the user experience, how do you simplify it, how do you make it easier? And I think that's been a good learning experience for us, and hopefully it'll translate to some really good outcomes.
Right. And everybody, that's Dr. David Rue he's Chief Medical Officer at Samsung. This is Rob Flippo, CEO at Mobile Health. So right now, actually, can you walk us through, tell us a little bit how it works?
Yeah, so one of the things that, as David said, we have to be really cognizant of is that a lot of our customers are seniors and things need to be really simple. So our standard solution has one button on it and a power button. So we said it needs to be equally as simple. So with the help of their engineering team, we've been able to essentially hijack one of the buttons, and when you press it, it activates the alarm. And from that point on, it's in an automated mode where the response center will connect to the device through the cell phone capability. The device picks up in auto answer mode, so you don't have to accept the call. It hangs up on its own, so the user doesn't have to do anything else to interact with the device. It's already sent the GPS data. It's already sent the identifier so they know who they're talking to. And it's really as simple as that. But as simple as that is, it took a lot of work to make it that simple.
I think a lot of times the larger companies have taken a look at the technology and said, well, just adapt to it. And what we really thought was an appropriate response was, if we're going to make this work, we're going to have to adjust the technology to meet the needs of the individual. And that's where we really started thinking a bit about both the user interface and really reconfiguring the technology behind it.
So far it's on the Gear S3, right?
Correct.
And more devices to come?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, and I mean, I can't help noticing that, right now it's active. It requires you to push the button, but the watch has got a lot of sensors. It should be able to start figuring out when I've fallen and can't get up, so to speak.
Yeah, certainly the technology for doing that is embedded in the sensors, the accelerometers, et cetera, and we've been working on automatic fall detection for years. The trick is being able to do it in something that you're wearing on your wrist that might bang around a lot, but absolutely, that's something that's on the roadmap and we expect to have at some point in the future.
One other thing that I like about it is, if you think about the user needs, it's not just about a per system, but it's also about things like, can it be useful for traditional stuff that we use our wearables for? We're capturing the data, tracking our fitness. And for individuals that want to do that, there's a very easy way that you just simply can navigate to the Samsung Health platform and really through that application be able to access that. So it's good for those that want sort of the simple, and those that want a little bit more complicated or a little more detailed, they can actually get that as well. So got a lot of flexibility.
And I find myself interacting with it a lot, the Samsung Health suite of apps. There's enough in there, even for somebody who's an athlete who runs a lot or bikes a lot to really track some of your performance data there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because in fact, you may find that the PERS system is not used a whole lot, hopefully not, but the things that would be used would be all the other elements. And so a lot of appeal for folks of all ages, really.
Yeah, I find myself checking my heart rate, especially this week before newscasts, and like, what's my heart rate now? And then you can tag it with its resting or whatever, and then there's an other. So the newscasts have been other, but it's been interesting.
Yeah, and this is really a question for both of you as I think of, smart things and the whole connected home and IoT, and, a more comprehensive service of being home and either convalescing or just aging in place, that there's an opportunity to do a whole lot more than, beyond what's measuring on the body, yeah?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, one of the things we've been thinking a lot about are for instance, seniors in terms of the overall experience. And on one end, there's that emergency response, but what can you do beforehand? What can you do proactively? And are there ways that you can use the wearable and some of the sensors around you to be able to think about that? So this is a very important tool to help us address one of the pieces in that puzzle and that journey. But it really is something that we're thinking about. How can we use that same type of platform to be able to draw some of the analytics from? And that's really exciting because it gives a chance for us to think a little more proactively, be able to prevent things and bad things from even happening, so you never get to use it.
Yeah, we're thinking down the road in the not too distant future where you're able to use this device as a hub. It's already got Wi-Fi and Bluetooth capability, and there's lots of really smart companies building medical devices to be able to pair with smartphones and wearables. So why not be able to collect data from any one of a number of peripherals for monitoring and measuring long-term health?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's where it's heading right now. It's these consumer devices where we have traditionally thought of them as just pure fitness trackers or mechanisms where we could just have a fun time, are becoming part of our medical care. And in fact, much of us are thinking now, how can we not only visualize it, but how can we even manage some of these diseases using these tools?
Right. As you go from, a here and now emergency to, more predictive kinds of things, as good as the watch is, do you think that's the right hub? I mean, it could be the phone, it could be the tablet, it could be another discrete device.
Yeah, I mean, I think the wearable itself has so many sensors on it now that it's collecting more data than the user can sit and analyze on their own on any given time. But that's where all the big data analytics are going to come in collecting that and measuring it over time and deciding if this, then that, and we can potentially prevent somebody from having to press the button for help.
Right.
I really think that down the road we're going to start seeing some of these devices becoming even more personalized so that they become specific for your condition. And the things that are meaningful to you that allow you to be able to better use those will be incorporated into this so that you have an ability to more effectively use this. Instead of this one-size-fits-all, we've got a mechanism where the technology is flexible enough where you can have that level of customization.
As you start to look at, beyond the aging in place kinds of markets to, I guess, kind of chronic conditions, it requires a different set of metrics and a different set of responses, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. These tools, whether they be the wearable, the phone, or even other types of sensors that could be in your body or outside or even around you, can provide a lot of great information. But I think one of the things that we've learned is that it's not just about the technology. If you really want to have a sustained impact, you're going to have to figure out ways to incentivize individuals. You're going to have to find ways to support them. And these can be great tools for both. You can actually, through these tools, identify if you've achieved certain fitness goals and receive payment from your payer by achieving a certain level of fitness. You may, in certain scenarios, be able to have a support network that knows if you've entered an area that potentially is a dangerous one, or maybe one that you tend to, buy your alcohol or you do other things that maybe not be the opportunistic thing for you. So what you may want to do then is have that support network with you 24/7. And that's really the great thing about all of this technology. It's with you all the time, whether it's your phone or your wearable and others.
Right. You mentioned a couple of alternate data collecting spots, including inside your body. Are you looking at that?
Oh yeah, we have. And I would say really through partnerships, because there are many organizations, medical device companies that have been doing this for years, and they've been doing a great job, and they know exactly how this works. But interestingly enough, they also have run into the same issue where an individual pulls out one of the devices that is the transmitter or the modulator for that, and it turns out that that's something that's kind of outdated, it's clunky, it's old, it calls attention to your disease. And people have wanted to actually view that and be able to manage that on smartphones and on smartwatches. So we're seeing that today. We're starting to see viewing ability on the smart devices. Soon we might be able to see where you can actually manage it, and manage your condition, and not just view it.
Right. And then, of course, there's the behavioral issues, too. It's not just collecting the data, but offering insight at the right times. I mean, that's at least as tricky as collecting the right data.
Yeah, and I think on the collection side, compliance is a huge issue, right? You can build all these tools that if they're used, will have the right outcomes, but if people aren't in compliance, then they're useless. So making them really simple, and ideally working without you even thinking about it. So you're collecting data as you're going through your daily life, and it's downloading it to the proper analytical tools without you even knowing increases compliance, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we know for a fact that the user experience has to be outstanding, but most importantly, it has to fit in your workflow. It has to fulfill a need. People want to use it. They need it because it provides them an ability to live safely and independently at home. And so they don't have to then feel compelled to go to that nursing home or assisted living. And that's really an important thing that we think that this could provide. It's not just an ability to say, hey, I've got an emergency, but if you can build that level of confidence through this device and a series of other connected devices that allows seniors and others that have disabilities to live independently and feel more confident and have their families feel more confident, then I think we've done something really important.
Yeah, I mean, our single biggest barrier to adoption is people don't want to be the lady with the walker who's literally fallen and can't get up. And a lot of the devices that are on the market scream that, right? They look like medical devices. They look like medical alarm systems. I've been wearing this all week and nobody said, hey, that's an interesting looking medical alarm you have on it, because it doesn't look like that. It doesn't feel like that, but it works like that and it'll get you help if you need it.
Yeah, I think in a way that's sort of an underlying theme here at CES is particularly, on the show floor here at the Sands with all the health tech, and is to start making it more consumer electronics-y, if that makes sense, to remove that stigma for lots of things.
For sure. I think the good news is that the young people like my son, who's 16 years old, they're already doing that today. They already interact with devices, and when they get older, it'll just be part of their routine. I think it's a learning process for people now who are aging in place, but I think it actually gets easier over time if we build the right solutions.
Absolutely. If it provides value to the individual, if you're being able to use it for multiple things throughout the day as well as during emergencies, it's going to be something that will be part of your lifestyle.
Right. That's a huge difference. So, gentlemen, we're almost out of time. What can't you believe I didn't ask you, Rob? The same questions coming to you.
You ask such great questions. I don't.
I mean, for me, I love the user experience, and I think that the value is huge. One other thing that we spend a lot of time thinking about is the security of the data. Yeah. And one thing that we have spent a lot of time at Samsung doing is thinking about how can you secure data at both the hardware and software layer. And so, we've been able to leverage that Knox platform for both the security and the customizations, which we talked about.
Yeah, particularly when you start transporting more robust biometric data, right? The security of that's super critical.
Yeah. Right, definitely. So thank you all for listening with us. Don't forget to rate the session if you liked it. If you didn't, never mind. So thank you very much.